they put your side by sides next to each other, it blows you away. Like, wow.
Welcome, Tonya. We're just so happy to have you here and sharing your experience. You've been working with us for the last 6 months with Coach Tiffany specifically. You started in the Transformer program, lost a bunch of weight in the Transformer program, and then you've just wrapped up, really, I think this week, the new You program, this week
Yeah.
or next week. So yeah, let's chat a little bit about that. And maybe Tiffany, you can lead on this because Tonya is your client.
Yeah. I think that overall, the first question that I kind of really want to ask for you is what were your expectations coming into this program? What were you hoping to achieve from coaching? And do you think that your needs were met? Do you feel like there were some areas that were not quite met that could be improved upon? Because we're always looking for feedback and improvement as well.
I need
And I really just want
clarification
to,
though. Are you referring to the new You program, which is just finishing up, or the Transformer all the way back to the Transformer
I
program?
think that like all of it because it kind of rolls in together. Because background for you guys who do not know Tanya, Tanya joined us for our was it the January launch of
Um,
Transformer
it
No, it
was
would have
actually
or
been
was it
May,
the
I think.
yeah,
May?
because
Okay,
you
so the
finished
May
Transformer
launch.
in August. Yeah.
So the May launch of the Transformer program, and then she rolled right into the New You program where she did her reverse diet. She started eating more calories than she ever thought was possible, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. Um, and she continued to make progress. So I just think that, just giving an overall summary of what you were hoping to expect when you joined the Transformer program, and then when you rolled into the New You program would be good for people to kind of see and understand.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I had a lot of weight to lose, like over 60 pounds. So I think I wrote on my first intake paper that I would like to lose 60 pounds. And I knew that was overdoing it. I knew I couldn't do that in 3 months, but I wanted to set a goal that was not easily obtainable. I wanted to just go for it. I was trying to lose 60 pounds. I think I ended up losing, I don't know, 30 something. I'm not, and now I can't remember. It seems like a long time ago, but I stayed on the low calorie diet as long as I could since I had so much weight to lose. So I didn't get to do a lot of the reverse dieting in the Transformer program. We had just started it. So I definitely wanted to turn around and do the new You to continue my reverse dieting, know how to do that. And I cannot believe how high Tiffany was making my calories go. It was crazy. I was like, what am I going to eat now? I got to eat some more. So that's interesting, right? Before this, I had a portion control problem, but I was eating all the wrong things. In the wrong amounts, maybe. I wasn't eating enough protein. So I guess when I started the Transformer program, my expectation was I have got to get some weight off for health reasons. Um, Health was my main goal. Nothing is more important than your health. And you find that out when you have some really bad health. And unfortunately, you don't believe that until it happens to you. And then you realize that that is the most important thing. It comes before all else. It comes before work, food, cocktails, whatever. You have to change. Health has to be your number one priority. And if the things you're doing aren't in line with bringing you good health, then you're only working against your goals. So
So you reached
did
that
I
fast.
lose it? Did I lose it somewhere in there?
Well, I'm reached that point, which some people, I think we all do when we realize we're like too heavy. It could be for Tiffany, it was Christmas and she did not want photos, family photos with her in them. For me, it was a photo too. I saw a photo of myself that a friend took and I did not like what I saw. So what I was seeing in the mirror was different than reality. I don't know. I had the opposite distortion that some people who are thin, they see themselves as, really big. I thought I looked fine. And then I saw the photo and I was like, oh my goodness, that is not who I identify as. For you, it sounds like there was a bit of a health scare. Okay, do you mind
Yeah,
sharing what that was?
sure. On top of having borderline diabetes, high cholesterol, terrible blood sugar, I also had pelvic prolapse. So those all combined, and every doctor was telling me to lose weight. And I had just recently put on a ton of weight during COVID, and I knew I needed to lose weight, but that's really it. I have took my body to the limit and it was showing me this is it. You have taken it as far as it can go, kid. And now pretty much you have to change your actions. So it scared me and it got bad enough that I wanted to change, and that switch just flipped for me and I was done making the bad choices.
You're willing to do
So
whatever it
something
took.
that comes to
Yeah.
Yeah, so something that comes to mind with me with hearing what you're talking about right now is with you being willing to basically make these grand sacrifices, because whenever we say we're willing to do whatever it takes, that's what we're saying. We're willing to sacrifice absolutely everything to make our goals and our health a priority, right? So my question here is, were there ever times where you ever felt like you had to over restrict in order to reach your health goals? Did you ever feel like there was not enough balance, or did you find that throughout this program, throughout the programs and moving forward, like with the Transformer program in itself, and also with adding the reverse diet on, did you ever feel like there was that excessive restriction, or did you find that maybe you found more food freedom in the long run?
Be honest
Glad
with
you
this
brought that up.
answer.
I
Be
am.
honest.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
honest,
I'm
100%.
totally glad that you brought that up in the way that you said it, because I really thought at the beginning of this I was going to have to give up everything that I love, pasta and sh- pastries and chips and even alcohol. And, when you're doing the really low calorie part of it, of course, you're not doing that. So you're trying to really cut then. But once we started the reverse diet, I am so pleasantly surprised. Are you guys there now? Is that where these guys are just starting their reverse diet? Because I can eat anything I want and I can have alcohol, I can have wine, I can have brownies every single day I have brownies. Um, I eat more now than I ever have, I think. And I'm still losing weight.
So
So
I want to explain that because some people won't believe that you can eat more than you did before when you were 60 pounds overweight. And this is simply because the type of food that you're eating, it's probably less processed, right? Less calories, less junk food. And when you're replacing the junk food with more whole foods, the volume can be really substantial, but there's still room for treats. Like we say 80-20, 80% pretty solid healthy foods, 20% treats like the brownies, the wine, things like that. But I think we need to back up and explain reverse diet, what it is, to people listening who have never heard that term before, because we are posting this on YouTube and not everyone knows what that entails, what that means. So maybe Tiffany, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, I'm happy to touch on that. So, for our program, with the Transformer program, it is generally a very low calorie diet. With that said, if you have issues with the protocol or adherence, we're happy to modify to hit your specific needs, because everybody comes into the program and their life happens, right? Things changes, circumstance changes, and we're not going to say, "Oh, sorry, you have to stick to this protocol." We're going to be flexible and work with you and try to find something that works for you. But typically, for the Transformer program, it is a very low calorie diet. We're usually 800 to 1,000 calories ish for that part of the program. And then once you're ready to leave the very low calorie diet, we want to slowly transition you to higher calories. The purpose for this is because whenever we add too much food all at once, there can be a jump on the scale. And that can be scary. We want to avoid that scariness and slowly reintroduce foods that maybe you haven't had in a while and help create those habits that will allow you to balance those foods out with the foods you've been prioritizing while adding them back in. It's not leaving the healthy foods behind, it's prioritizing the healthy foods and adding the extras, if that makes sense. So with a reverse diet, what we do is we slowly increase your calories and your macros week to week. And then this can happen in 4 weeks. It can take 8 weeks. It just depends on the specific person, because everybody's bodies responds differently. People tend to get more active as we increase their caloric intake, and then they tend to burn more calories. So for one person, we may be able to finish it up in 4 weeks. For someone else, they keep getting more and more active and keep adding more activities, longer walks, more exercise, more training, more bike rides, things like that. So we have to continue to increase their calories until they hit maintenance. How do we know when they hit maintenance? Well, for Tonya specifically, maybe we didn't quite hit maintenance
yeah,
because she got to a point to where, do you want to go ahead and tell them how you felt with your calories? Go ahead, if you don't mind sharing how high your calories got and how you were feeling with the amount of food volume that you were having.
think when we stopped adding calories, I was at about 2,100 calories. Is that right? I think it was right
I
around
think so,
there.
yeah. Hmm.
And I was eating the hugest meals, and every time I'm like, "Well, how can I make this meal even better? How can I make it even yummier?" That's how if I had a meal, I remember Tiffany and Adele both saying, "Well, look at your meal and what would make it even better?" And I just kept adding stuff in and adding stuff in, and my meals were just huge. And I knew I couldn't sustain that forever. It was fine for now because I'm trying to get to maintenance. That's what we're trying to achieve. But I don't think I would want to eat like that every single day. Um, so I'm like, "That's enough. I think we're good."
So
And I still
basically,
have
she
weight
did
to
not
lose,
want to,
so
yeah, she did not want to increase her calories even more because she felt like she was having that balance with the foods that she enjoyed as well as the food that fueled her body. Does that sound about right?
yeah,
And
So
by increasing calories more, you felt like it was just too much at that point. So
yeah.
we decided, we talked about it, and we made a plan for her to, you know what, let's back off the calories a little bit. You wanted to lose a little more weight, so we'll go into a smaller deficit. Would you mind telling everybody where your calories are right now?
I think they're high. It's 700 or 1,748 calories a day,
mhm.
And you're
and
still,
I'm losing weight on that, so yeah, it's working.
How much weight have you lost in total?
Total now, I went to the doctor the week before I started Transformer, and since then, I have lost 58 pounds.
Whoa,
no,
you're like within 2 pounds of your goal,
Yeah,
yeah.
and in 6 months.
yeah.
Mhm.
And you're doing it very comfortably with brownies and wine, and you're
No, that I
walking, and
could.
I saw your photos. You've put on muscle too. So
Yeah.
so you might have lost 58 pounds of fat tissue, but you've also gained some muscle.
I didn't think of that. That's
Well,
true.
yeah, I mean, you could
Yeah.
have lost 65 pounds and put on 7 pounds of muscle. We don't know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Do you think we could share the photos?
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Tiffany, would you mind sharing them on your
Yeah,
screen?
yeah,
I'm
I can
proud
Yeah.
of
get
them.
those pulled up. Adele, if you just
Make
want to
sure
chat
there's
for a
no
second while
personal
I get those.
information like a name and stuff like that on them, because
So
sometimes file names get shown. That's amazing, Tonya. And you're feeling
Yeah.
good. You have good
I
energy.
Oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I can feel the difference. Now I can really see the difference, and when you feel and see the difference, it motivates you to want to do the good habits more and
Right.
bring more good habits into your life and continue to move. I think the higher Tiffany would raise my calories, the more activity I did.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you got to put
so
that energy somewhere that, because that's what food is. It's energy.
Yeah,
So did you go back to the doctors and get your blood work and everything
I
done?
did, yes. Um, Everything is drastically changed. My doctor, the second she walked in the room, she goes, "Once I saw your results come back," she goes, "I couldn't wait for you to come in the office to see what your weight was gonna be."
Sure.
She goes, "'Cause the change was so drastic." I'm almost off of my cholesterol medicine. I'm a 5 milligrams. I think I will be done with that by the next time I go in with her. My blood sugar was in a normal range, or like 1 point away from being in the normal range, and mine hasn't been that way since I was 18. My blood
Oh,
sugar's
wow.
always been kinda crazy. Um, what else do everything on there, my vitamin D, just about everything that we can imagine on there was so much better, and I just felt like a rock star going in there. I wanted to blow her mind, and I totally did. It was awesome. It was a
That
fun
is
doctor's appointment.
that is awesome. I'm so pleased for you. So let's look at these photos. Week 1, you took these photos at the start of the Transformer program. We don't require people to take photos. We just encourage it. And we know it's really hard for people to do this and see themselves. And a lot of people don't do it and they resist. And that's fine. But we find that the people who do take their photos are always so grateful that they did. How do you feel about having taken your photos?
I did not wanna do that, of course, when we first started, but I am so glad I did, because even though you can see you guys I'm sure you're feeling it already, the ones that are in the transformer, you're feeling your muscles and your legs more from the walking. You're starting to see little things, but man, when they put your side by sides next to each other, it blows you away, like, wow. Um, you
It's
guys are
so
putting the
different.
time in, you're being consistent, and you're gonna get results.
It's different than thinking, when you put in your numbers for the weight loss, 22, 23, 24, whatever it is, it's kind of abstract. It's just 2 digits on a piece of paper. But when you see the photos, it's real.
Yeah.
And again, it was a photo that changed me, changed my mind. Let's look at the next one.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that up. I just want to make sure
Okay.
that I'm keeping all privacy
Amazing.
doing this.
Really.
So here we
You know,
go.
my sister goes, "Is that really you?" I said, "That's me." You took the photo.
And you took
That's
really
funny.
good photos. The lighting,
Yes.
the angle,
Oh,
you're
good.
wearing the
I tried
same
to do it in the
clothes.
exact same every time, but
It is perfect. They're really good photos.
I'll tell him.
So here are your front facing photos.
Wow,
Wow.
that still
So
blows me
I'm
away.
just curious. Yeah, it does. So what were you super shocked when you saw your final photos from beginning to the end of the New You program?
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Yeah. I'm walking around in this body, but you just don't realize how well, I didn't realize how big I was. Yeah. I remember the feeling now. You have to keep that in your mind, how miserable you were, the pains and your creaking and your body was, you could barely bend over and everything hurt. But man, the walking in this program like really got my body back on track and I don't have as much pain. So
I'm
That's great.
so glad you brought that up because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that when you first came into this program, you were really concerned about some knee pain. And we also did the combo program with you where we did strength training with you. And I know that there were probably some days where you're like, okay, my knee it is not happy. But I just want to ask you overall, do you feel like your knees are about the same? Have they improved? Is the pain less? Is it worse? Did the
so
strength
much better.
training affect that?
Whether it's the walking, just the moving, the strength training, I think it's all together, but I think strength training had a lot to do with it. My knees feel so much better. It's amazing. Now I have some little injuries that have, reared their little head since we started some things, but I'll work through that. And so, yeah, I feel so much better. If I can remember what I felt like. I could barely bend over and tie my own shoe. So I am so much better now. Look
Love
at that.
that.
How did I bend over? I don't know.
Amazing. Being overweight, like body fat tissue is so inflammatory that losing weight can also help with joint ache and you're also just carrying so much extra weight around. Like I think of it when I go backpacking, I think like this weighs 25 pounds. This is what I lost. Like, and I feel it. And you forget it when you lose the weight. It's very easy to forget the pain though, I think. And so sometimes people start to slowly gain weight. They're no longer in pain, physically or mentally. And so it's easy to kind of drop the ball again. And I think we have to stay vigilant.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love this. This just shows so much. And oh my, can we just take a moment to just talk about
I
the
noticed.
definition and those delts there, and then also the core development that you have, the leg development, like so much. It's not just the fat loss. It's not just the visceral fat, but it's also the muscle definition that you've gained, which helps with your overall body composition. I think that a big thing that a lot of people get caught up on is seeing a specific number on the scale. Um, and it can be very challenging to overcome that. But when we start thinking less about that specific number and more about how we look, how we feel, what our body is capable of, I think that that brings a lot more freedom and happiness. So I guess I just want to ask you this as well. Your goal was to lose 60 pounds, and obviously you're right there. But whenever you look at your weight on the scale and where you are right now, do you think that there's another weight goal that you might chase, or is it maybe it's a body fat percentage goal? What do you think your next step, your next goal would be?
That's a good question. Now that I'm so close to this goal, yes, I definitely body fat percentage. I want to get it down. And I know I can because I still have a lot of fat. So I think I can do this. Now I'm on my own. I'm not with you starting now. So I'll do my best. I think you guys have really given me all the information and education that I need to do it. And you're there. I can ask you questions if I hit something that I just don't know what to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that I really made sure to communicate with you is Tanya, please reach out to me if you still need help, even if I'm not actively your coach. I've got you. Like if you need me to point you in a direction where you want to go, if you need a quick article, I'm happy to share those resources with you. But I don't think that we really planned on talking about this, Adele, but I just want to drop it in here real fast. We are actually going to be releasing really soon a
Patreon.
Patreon. Thank you. A
It's so
Patreon.
new. Tiffany doesn't even know the name.
I know. Look, it's so new. It was not planned, but I just, you mentioned that you were sad about not continuing with us, and we
Yeah.
understand that coaching is expensive, right? We understand that. It's not always feasible for everyone, especially when you do back to back to back to back programs. And we want to make sure that you guys still have the resources you need to reach your goals and to be able to have that face-to-face communication because we think that it's really important for long-term success. So the purpose of us launching this is so that people who have worked with us in the past, people who have never worked with us, and possibly join onto this and have that face-to-face time. And it is specifically with Adele for right now. That may change in the future, but for right now, it would be specifically with Adele. And she is just so amazing to, get feedback from because she has a way of looking at things and thinking 20 levels deeper than what you would possibly think is possible. Um, and can really just shine a light and help you reach that aha moment. So, if you guys are watching this, keep your eyes peeled for that because I think it's a fantastic opportunity to get a taste of coaching and to get that, hands-on connection without joining a physical program. But if you do want to see results like this, I do recommend you join an actual program because that's going to be a lot more hands-on than an app or
Oh
bi-weekly
yeah.
calls.
The Patreon's just going to be sort of a call in and ask questions, get some guidance twice a month.
Mhm.
For about $9 a month is the introductory offer, and the price may change, but I'll do 2 1-hour calls a month. And that way, people can continue to get some guidance and clarity. Sometimes they just need a little moral support too. And we've
Yes.
we've been asked many times by grads, if there's just a way we could just check in from time to time, it would be great. So this is what we're offering. Thanks. Very sweet words, Tiffany. I appreciate it. Well, why don't we ask Tonya some questions that people had who can't come to the call, and see where we go with that. And then anyone who's listening in on the call right now, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat.
Right. So we did have a couple of emails, or a couple of questions sent via email for someone who could not be here tonight. And I really want to make sure that we go over that. The first question is, Tanya, what do you think you would say were key factors for your amazing results?
I'm going to say consistency of the core habits. Um,
Can
eating
you elaborate
more
on that?
protein. Yeah, I didn't eat enough protein before starting Transformer. So I really feel like that was the biggest change for me was eating protein at every meal and making sure it's good protein, high quality protein. Track your macros, then you always know where you land. Yeah, I wasn't great at tracking in the beginning either. You get better at it. I'm still not great at the recipes, but I still do them. Um, I just think tracking is a huge part of it. And then all the core habits, the sleep, hydrate, stress management, move your body, eat more veggies. What else? I have it on my wall. I have it up on my office wall.
A
Yeah.
student right there. Hey.
Oh yeah, it's huge. Um, limit your sugar. Be mindful of eating. Continue more good habits because the more good habits you include, it will push out all your bad habits. So you don't have to focus on pushing your bad habits and giving up something because all these good habits actually push them out and you don't even realize it. It's easier, maybe
That's
mentally.
right.
It's really
Yeah.
easy.
I love that.
Did I answer?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's
no, that was
great.
a
I think
fantastic answer.
consistency and the core habits is a great, and eating lots of protein and tracking your macros. It makes perfect sense to us. What the key habits are for one person that really move the needle for them could be different for somebody else. But I do think fundamentally the feedback we get is I needed to eat more protein because that reduces carb cravings and controls appetite and sleep. That really comes out a lot, and more movement, of course. We got a comment here. Very motivating. Thanks, Tonya, was one of the comments.
That was another question that came up too.
Yeah, I see it. Do you want me to read it, Tiffany?
Go ahead.
Thank you for sharing, Tonya. As you went through Transformer and knew you, what were you starting off activity and exercise levels, and how did they change during the program? My impression, you were quite sedentary before starting, right?
Before starting Transformer, yes. Is this
Yeah.
for Transformer or New
Well,
You?
it actually said transformer and new you. So maybe
Okay.
you became, I'm guessing you became more active. It was kind of like that. So maybe you could
Yeah.
walk us through how those activity levels changed and maybe what exercises you start to add in and when as you
Right.
move through those two programs.
Okay. Well, I was very, very active 4 or 5 years ago. I've always been active up until COVID hit. And then I started working from home. And for me, that meant sitting in a chair for at least 12 hours a day. And then we switched programs at our company. And that, and mean, then I was working 16, 17 hours a day, sitting, doing nothing. And I just got in a very bad habit of not getting up. I wouldn't eat all day. When I did get done with work, I'd eat huge meal at the end of the day and then go right to bed. So yeah, I wasn't getting any exercise for at least 3 years, basically nothing. I got out of breath walking out to the mailbox. That's how bad I went from being healthy to unhealthy. It did not take very long. Um, so when Transformer started, all you asked me to do was start walking every day to get that minimum of 8,000 steps a day. And I did that at least 8,000 steps every day. I looked at that counter, and if I didn't have 8,000 steps, I zoomed around the house until I did, and then I would go to bed. Um, I just tried to follow everything that you gave me because I wanted to give it 100%. And if it didn't work, I gave my 100%, and then there's something wrong with me if this didn't work, right? Because I really thought I was broken. Like I didn't think that I could do it, pretty much. Um, I was hanging on to the cabinets, trying to do, the squats and the lunges. Now I've got poles, much easier. Um, but they'll give you all the tricks. You can do it. And Tiffany kept going, your knees are going to get better. It hurts at first, but they're going to get better. And if you guys have that, any kind of pain, it is going to get better. And you're not even going to realize it till Tiffany or Adele pointed out to you. And you're like, you're right. Yeah, I can do this better and I'm getting stronger and I can almost do a push-up. So it's drastically changed. So I went from pretty much being a chair potato to now I am moving all the time, but I still sit at work for my work. I
Hard to
just
get
don't
away.
work. I don't work 90-hour, weeks any longer.
So I think you were really totally dedicated, a 10 out of 10. You started with a walking. We recommended 8,000 steps. Well, we recommend 30 minutes of walking a day, whether that's 3 10-minute walks or whatever. And then in week 4 of the Transformer program, you did the 30-minute home workout we gave you, the video workout, which is a body weight workout. And then week 8, you did the bands. And week 12, you did the weights. And then you were done the program and you started the New You combo program with Tiffany. And she gave you I'm guessing you weren't working at a gym, just at home.
Everything I've done is just at home. Yep.
Okay. And you did like dumbbells, bands. What did you do?
Both dumbbells and
Okay.
bands. Yep.
How many days a week?
Started out with 3 and worked up to 4.
Okay, great. And you still walk daily.
Still
And how
walk
many
daily.
steps do you walk right now?
Oh my gosh. Anywhere from 8 to 24,000.
That's a lot of steps. 24,000. But I heard
Yeah.
you do dog training, so that must help.
So yes, I have a dog that I'm in training. He's adopted. So that helps me. Sometimes I feel like I got too many steps. It was a walk I didn't want to go on with him, but it has helped me too. My girlfriend and I, it's pitch dark when I wake up in the morning here, pitch dark when I get off work. So we got headlamps and we go out in the dark with our headlamps and our dogs. And
so you're breaking the walk to different, like maybe breakfast, lunch, dinner kind of thing, morning, noon, and night kind of thing.
I've done it all. Yes. The first Transformer, I did all my walks at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Then I would do some little walks on my lunches when it was available, when I could, or I did the body weight workouts that you guys started. And now it's kind of hit and miss. If I can do it before work, I do it before work at 6. If I can do it on my lunch, I get out there in the sunshine. I do that. If I can't get it in, like tonight, I had to work in the office today. I didn't get to do it on my lunch because I spent my lunch driving home. So tonight, my girlfriend's meeting us after this meeting. We're going out with our headlamps and we're going to get our
Oh, wow.
walk on.
That's
I
great.
love your
You're
dedication.
committed. You
Yes.
just figure out ways to get those walks in. It's not always on a set schedule. That's great. We have more
Oh, I do
questions.
have something I want to add real fast.
Mhm.
So you mentioned that we recommended 8,000 steps. I do want to say that as when you're in the program, we do have a step tracker on your check-in form on your Excel document that you get. And what I do as your coach is I say, this is where you're averaging right now. Let's see if we can push this a little bit. Because we like to progressively overload you, whether it's walking, whether it's strength training. We want to say, hey, this is what you're doing right now. Do you think you could go 50 steps more a day, 100 steps more a day? Let's slowly progress you so that you are getting closer to 7 to 10,000 steps a day, because ideally that would be a good range to be in. Now, for some people, right off the bat, 8,000 steps a day, that's not realistic. So don't feel like you have to join this program and immediately go, I have to walk 8,000 steps a day. No, you don't. We just recommend 30 minutes a day. And even then, it does not have to be 30 minutes all in one go. You can break it up. Breakfast, before work, after work, before work, lunch break, whatever fits your specific schedule. Because again, let's make those small changes. We don't want it to be overwhelming. We don't want you to bite off more than you can chew as it is. So I just wanted to throw that out for you guys watching this.
Yeah.
Everyone's goals and step count is going to be different. And that does not mean that you're better or that you're worse. It just means that that's where you are on your journey.
Yeah, that's good. A good point. Another question came in. Can you describe more about how you felt when you added calories? Did you have any times when weight increased and you were worried about gaining? Like maybe the number on the scale jumped up as your calories were added back in? Yeah.
I did have some times where my weight jumped up, usually after a weekend when I had went out to dinner and I had to estimate my macros, or a party where I had a couple of drinks. But it comes right off within 2 or 3 days. And Tiffany was really good to remind me. She's like, "Oh, look, yeah, you increased your calories here, so you have to expect that. And if you eat really late at night," which I had to keep that in mind, if I didn't get good sleep, if I ate later than normally, I was going to see a little bit of a jump on the scale. But it always comes off. And I know this. And yet, just this last week, it was like my last day with Tiffany. The next morning, I woke up and I had gained a pound. And I was like, what is happening? Is it because I don't have Tiffany anymore? And then I saw Adele's post on Unstoppable, and I just needed it. It was a post that you sent out with your dog, like touching another dog, going, and this is what I say to my transformers when when they're worried about their skill going up and down. It's water weight.
Yeah.
And it always comes right off. So I didn't panic very much. But yeah, it does come off. Tiffany always also taught me calorie banking. So I was running into the thing where, just on the weekend, my weight would go up a little bit after my weekend dinner out, just estimating macros. Maybe I wasn't so good at estimating those correctly. So during the week now, I lower my calories like 50 to 100 calories during the week, so that if I know I have a get together or something, I'm going to have to estimate my macros, then I know I have those extra calories that I can have my pasta or have my 2 drinks or wherever, what party we're going to. With this holidays coming up next week, Thanksgiving, have another party. So it has helped me a lot to keep on track.
Tiffany's a great coach.
She
So,
is.
so you never gained during the reverse diet. Did you lose during the reverse diet?
I lost during the reverse diet and I'm still losing. Yeah.
Yeah, most people do. Everyone's so terrified of coming off the low calorie and having their calories increased and regaining all the weight they lost, but it never happens. Almost everybody continues to lose weight during the reverse diet. And we have to really coax people to eat more. It's really important for their metabolism to come back on board and for them to have more energy. And if you want to put on muscle, you need calories to build muscle. So it's super important. Another
So
question
real
was,
fast,
yeah,
before we go to the next question, I just want to elaborate on what you just said a little bit, is that it never happens. People don't gain weight in the reverse diet if they're following the
rarely.
reverse diet
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the key there. You can't just end the transformer program or end any program and go back to how you were eating before, because that is when the weight gain or the regain is going to happen. It's really important to be mindful about those choices that you make whenever you're in that transition period, and especially around the holidays. So we do also have our informed eating program, and the entire thought process behind the informed eating program is to help you think about your choices and to make a decision based on not only the options available, the food options available, but also on your goals and your lifestyle and what works best for you. So creating that balance long term is what's going to help with that. And again, when you're in the reverse diet, it's still a diet. It is still part of the diet. Don't think I'm increasing my calories. I can go way over here and do whatever I want. That's not the case. We want you to be mindful, continue to follow the principles that we teach you throughout the program, and slowly add in, not just abandon everything that you've learned for the last 6 to 12 weeks and then go off on your own little island, because that's when the very rapid regain can happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't eat out of a bag of chips any longer. Like you taught me that. Put your portion in a bowl or on a plate, like have it measured out first. Popcorn. I was the worst. My husband would make a big bowl like this and I would just sit there and eat the whole thing. So now I've weighed it out. It's in a bowl. I know that's exactly what I'm going to eat. I don't feel like I'm dieting, even on the reverse diet. I don't feel like I'm dieting.
it's great to hear. Some people might be listening to this though and afraid that, but she's tracking everything and weighing everything still, and that's no way to live. I don't want to live like that. Like, can't I just eat what I want whenever I want? And that's why we created the informed eating program. We want to get people from tracking to not having to track their food anymore and still be able to maintain their weight. So that is an option for people as well. So a question came up is any momentary setbacks?
Um, the only setback I can think of is right now I have a little injury that I'm dealing with. But it's not stopping me from doing everything that I can do in my workout. So I'm doing everything I can do with my other body parts. Um, Anything that's not causing that area pain, I'm doing. So that is my little setback that I'm dealing with now. Um, but I think it's doable. I still have my upper body. I can do all that, and I still can do some lower body as well. There's just certain lower body exercises that bring out that discomfort. So I'm avoiding those right now.
That makes sense. I
So,
mean, injuries are, I get injured too and have to avoid
yes.
working out a certain body part for a bit. I think it's pretty normal if you live an active life. Gosh, injuries are even normal, probably worse if you live a sedentary life. So pick your poison, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of funny because I like to tell Adele that I'm stuck in an 80-year-old's body because, I am. It's fine. But thank you for sharing that. Injuries are going to happen and there are workarounds. So just being respectful of how your body is feeling and asking yourself not what you can't do, not limiting yourself, but what can I still do? What doesn't hurt? What do I feel comfortable doing? So I know that you vacation while you're on the program. How do you feel that that went overall? Were there any
Oh my
setbacks
gosh.
with vacationing?
Well, I was very worried about it before. I must have asked you a million times, I'm going on vacation. What am I going to do? Um, but by the time I was ready to go on vacation, just you Transformers out there, I went on vacation the last week of Transformer. And that to me was petrifying because our first day, I think it was Adele or Tiffany said, the two things you don't want to do is go on vacation the last week of your Transformer or right after it ends. And that's what I was doing. So I was petrified that I wasn't going to do it, but I had a plan. And because I had a plan, it went so smooth. Um, it, it was nothing. Now I'm embarrassed that I like kept asking you all these questions, but it went great. So you just had a plan, and I ate my protein first, and you gave me like little tips and hacks to drink water before the meal, deep breaths before your meal. And I would look at the menu before we went. I already have it in my fitness pal. I did it in the bathroom. Nobody knew I was doing this. I didn't do this at the restaurant. I didn't upset my friends or family. No one knew I had already done this while they were sleeping. I was entering in menus and do 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 do. And so I knew I had a backup plan. If they didn't have this, I had a second backup plan. And everything went fine. And you get up and move, you do the same. I exercise on vacation. I got my whole family walking and we saw some beautiful scenery. So it
Right.
went so much better than planned. So whether it's vacation or wanting to go out with your friends on the weekend or go to a lovely dinner with your husband and have a drink, all doable. You just have to have a plan. And if you've pre-planned for it in the week, you've cut a little bit of your calories through the week, you're already ahead of the game and ready. If something comes up unplanned and you've overindulged one day, I just don't let it get to me. I just pick up with the next meal or the next day and get back on track.
So
Great
correct me
attitude.
if I'm wrong, but for you, for your reverse diet, because we were right there. We had like 2 weeks before your program, and you were like, "What am I going to do?" And I was like, "All right, so what we're going to do for you is we're going to
Eat
speed
it.
up how quickly we reverse diet." So you didn't even follow the typical reverse diet. You jumped up in calories quite quickly compared to how other people do. And how do you think that felt? I mean, I know that you don't have the reverse diet before as anything to compare with, but was the sudden increase in carbs something that really was scary to you? And how do you feel that you managed that overall?
I guess when you first said that that's how high we were going to go, yeah, it was a little scary in my mind, but I was like, yes, we have to do this because I'm going on vacation. And I didn't want my family to feel like I was taking away from their joy without being able to eat with them and do things with them. So I don't think that they felt that at all. I was able to go everywhere they went and did whatever they did. And I ordered the same things they were ordering. I had just planned for it.
Wow, that's great. I think planning your level of organization is one of the keys to your success. You're a planner, and that really
Yeah.
set you up. Also, your attitude. There is no on-off switch with you. You mentioned you still exercise on vacation. This is a lifestyle, and you got your family walking, which is beautiful. And you saw these sunsets, and so we do our good behaviors do rub off on people. And that's what we see even with married couples. One of them starts to lose weight. First, the other one's not interested, but then they start seeing the changes and they start joining them for a walk or eating a little healthier. And it just happens naturally. They don't need to say a thing. We had
So
another
I have a
question. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I have a couple more in my inbox from somebody who
Okay.
could not attend the call tonight that I want to get to. So the next question that I have for you are, what were some of your biggest challenges and how did you overcome them? I think that, the vacation was one of them, but was there
Yeah.
anything else that you felt like was really a big challenge for you?
During Transformer, I think the vacation was my biggest challenge. And it wasn't as scary as I had built it up to be in my mind. It worked out just fine. Just keep moving, drink your water, eat your protein, get your sleep. It all worked out and I didn't gain weight on vacation. I think overall I went back and forth a pound to pound, 3 pounds gone down. By the time I got home, I was at the same weight I was when we left. So I worried all that for nothing.
That actually leads me right into the next question they asked, and that was, what are your tips for keeping the weight off without feeling like you're always dieting?
Gotcha. Um, well, like I said, I don't feel like I'm dieting. And I eat what I want every single day. Um, I have even a brownie every single day. I have brownies. I never ate brownies before this. I'm not really that big of a sweets person, but that to me is like if I get all my stuff in, I've done my steps, I'm having a brownie. This is awesome. Um, but being consistent, I guess, with my core habits, as long as you're consistent, I don't feel like you can go wrong, right? If you just do those core habits, you're consistent with them. Eventually, you're going to see the progress. You're going to feel that progress. And then once you see that, it's going to motivate you to do better, even better than you did before. So hopefully that's the path and journey that I stay on. And I know there's going to be bad days coming. Everybody has in its life, right? Um, and that's what you guys are there for and friends.
Don't think it feels like a diet for you now
Yeah, it
because it's a
doesn't.
lifestyle.
Yeah,
For
it's not something
people,
that I'm, like, doing for 3 months. I just have to get through this. Let me
Mhm.
just get through this 3 months, and then I can eat like I used to. I'm done with eating like I used to. Now I have so much more, education on the nutrition with all the lessons that we did through Transformer, and I printed
Mhm.
out every single one of them, and I have them in a binder, and if I have a question, I can look back, and if I think something's changed, I can reach out to you guys. Um, so no, I feel like just learning all that education behind it just reinforced my why and made it even stronger of why I need to eat healthy and that my health comes first before anything else. So
I had a deep thought with that question, Tiffany. Can you repeat that question, the last bit?
Yeah, it says, what are the tips for keeping it off without feeling like she is always dieting?
So for you, like
Keeping,
these behaviors are just hardwired now. So it doesn't feel like you're forcing anything. These things are just happening and it's flowing. Something else occurred to me. Because you're so active and because you've successfully reverse dieted and you got your calories as high as you can, you have a lot more food freedom and flexibility than somebody who is sedentary, does not have much muscle mass, is not, like, and maybe their calories are, can only maintain on 1,400, 1,300 calories a day, or they start to gain weight. That kind of person is going to have to be super careful about everything they eat.
Yeah.
And they could be also a tiny person. Tinier people have to eat less. They're going to have to be a lot more careful, which to me is really a case for staying active, because you get to eat more food and keeping up a good amount of muscle mass, because that lets you be more metabolically healthy and burn more calories at rest. I think people who don't have good muscle mass, are really inactive, really do suffer more with the yo-yo dieting, because it's going to be hard to maintain your weight on so few calories for the rest of your life. It will feel restricted.
yeah, that would be awful. I don't ever want to do that. So I want to stay active. The more or I guess the more active I am, the more calories I can eat, the more it doesn't feel like a diet. So why wouldn't you move more?
Brownies, right?
Brownies, people.
Yeah. Well, we're just wrapping up here. I want to know if there's any more questions. We're coming up on an hour, which it's been a great talk. I could talk for 2 hours, but we do need to keep this kind of to about an hour.
I think that's something that's great about the Transformer program too, is it's not a one size fits all. If you want to stay on P2 a little bit longer, which is the lower calorie portion of the diet, we support you doing that as long as it's safe to do so. Um, so ultimately it's the client's decision how long they want to be in the significant caloric deficit. But yeah, right now for the Transformer program, some people are starting the reverse diet, some people have already been on the reverse diet for a little while. So just seeing the how it went for you, I think that there's still some fear for some people going into it, especially when it comes to carbs specifically. So I guess I just want to ask you this: did you ever have a fear of carbs specifically?
I love carbs. I've never been a person who's ever given up carbs. So I can't speak like the person who hasn't had carbs in 10 years, how that fear would be. I've always ate carbs. But my problem is I am an overeater of carbs. I had no portion control. I would buy the party bag size at Costco and eat it all in one sitting. No problem. And now I don't even want to do that. It's weird how amazing eating protein works. I have not craved one single thing since I started Transformer. I have not had one craving. Is this ridiculous? Is this normal? Do you guys hear this from other people? None.
We know the protein really suppresses appetite and cravings a lot, especially for carbohydrates. But I'm still surprised you've had no cravings. That's amazing. Yeah.
I
Wow.
think to me, it kind of makes me wonder like what your normal day-to-day eating looked like. Were you eating the same thing every single day, or were you making sure that there was a lot of variety in your food choices as well?
Um, During Transformer,
During
I
Transformer,
was
and
eating.
then
Oh yeah, I don't. Well, I food prep on the weekends, so I do try to make 3 or 4 different meals. They're all different, and I can just grab them. Like during Transformer, I was very, very, very regimented. Like I had my breakfast already done, my lunch is already done, my dinner's already done. And sometimes I would eat them for 4 days in a row, the same things for 4 days in a row until you get more comfortable. Now, the Transformer about halfway through, you're more comfortable. You can like just start chopping up things and have it in your refrigerator, and you don't have to have full on meals ready. If it makes you feel better, you're just running back and forth to work, then that's fine too, to do that, to continue to do that. I still have my breakfast completely ready for the whole week. And if I like it and it still tastes good to me and I'm enjoying it, then I keep eating it. If I think there was only one meal during Transformer that I had to choke down, but it was my own fault. I didn't make it. It wasn't so great. It wasn't the best recipe. I just don't make that one again. But what was the
I'm
question
thinking,
again?
I'm thinking why you didn't have cravings too is, well, or now, because as well, because you allow yourself to eat anything you want. And so that doesn't
Yeah.
have that psychological pull like that. Sometimes when people deny themselves something, say, I can't ever eat that again, or I can't have that, you know, we always tell people to reframe it as like, I'm choosing not to have that. Or if you
Right.
really want that thing, have it, enjoy it, and then
Yeah.
own that choice. You're having wine, you're having brownies, you're not telling yourself there's any off limits foods, which is one thing we teach. And I think that prevents some of the psychological cravings people have. Also,
Yeah.
getting your sleep really helps with cravings. So like there's a number of, we take a very holistic approach. And I think all of that does play into how good we feel and minimizing cravings and minimizing hunger and all of that. I think
I
Yeah,
think
that
the
does.
key
definitely.
thing here as well is, Tanya, you mentioned that you meal prepped things that you enjoyed eating. So it never
Yeah.
felt like you were necessarily saying, I'm just going to make myself eat. For example, I hear a lot that people get tired of chicken or they get tired of egg whites. They don't want egg whites anymore. So instead of forcing themselves to eat those things, find things that fit your macros that you enjoy
Yeah.
eating. You don't have to
Yeah.
sit to force yourself to eat a specific thing. You don't have to get
Right.
stuck in this rut. Experiment with what you enjoy and then
Yeah.
add those in.
Yeah. Especially if you're not on P2,
Mhm.
add
Last
things
question.
in.
I got one last question. What advice would you give to anyone considering working with us?
My gosh. Considering working with you, do it. That would be my advice. Do it. Don't wait till you get in a terrible health like I did. Do it now. Like just take the action and do it now. Listen to these ladies. Go to every single meeting. And if you can get past it, turn your camera on and totally connect with your other transformers. My transformer group, I love them. Every single one of them has helped me by seeing all their victories. Them just talking about their little victories and their struggles and stuff. I was having the same thing, but you may not want to speak up. Speak up. Talk about what your week was like, what you had difficulties with, what you loved about your week. Just talk about that and just do it.
Thank you. That's great advice. Really appreciate it, Tanya. Thank you for organizing this, Tiffany. Thanks to everyone who came out and had questions. It's been great chatting with you. I would love to see where you're at another 3 to 6 months from now, Tanya. I think you're just on such a great path, and I'm really excited for you. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Great job. And
Bye,
we'll
guys.
catch you soon. Bye.